Cut to the capital streets, where people are losing their minds chanting our boy's name and their family name. Inside the carriage, Leo asks our boy if he is embarrassed. Karen's like, why the hell would I be? Leo gestures at the massive crowds cheering for them. Karen shrugs it off and explains that they're not doing this for us. Leo's confused and asks him, then who's this for? Karen told him that the nobles are trying to puppet the emperor, obviously. Leo's brain is lagging, trying to process the politics. Karen turns to watch the scenery. He's thinking whoever's sitting on that throne better at least have some political survival instincts. Cut to some time later, they exit the carriage and immediately run into a familiar face. Sir Luke's there to greet them, acting all honored that Karen even remembers who he is. Karen couldn't care less about the flattery. Luke explains they can't enter the palace armed and asks for their cooperation. Another knight standing there with a bag for collecting weapons. While dropping his sword in, Karen casually mentions to Leo, did you know Grandpa already broke this exact rule once? Leo's intrigued. When? Karen smiles that troublemaker smile. 50 years ago. Leo's still processing, trying to figure out what the hell happened back then. The guards, though, they caught that reference immediately. Their faces go pale and grim. Karen's grinning like an absolute demon when Leo finally realizes and starts panicking. Are you insane? Why would you bring that up right now? Meanwhile, Luke told our boy to watch his words before the emperor. Karen just casually goes, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. They're still chatting when suddenly the guard next to them straight up collapses. Luke spots the sword on the floor with the blade slightly exposed. He's shocked senseless by the aura radiating off it. Karen just comments all casual. My sword's a little temperamental. He flashes that nasty smile and tells them, you better handle it with care. But nah, Luke doesn't entertain him at all and tells him that he'll personally escort them to the main hall. They enter the palace proper. Luke and two knights walk alongside Leo and Karen across this golden carpet. Leo's looking around in awe and goes, the royal palace is seriously extravagant, isn't it? But Karen doesn't say anything, seeing that his troublesome brother, who always has something to say, is staying quiet. Leo starts getting concerned. He looks at our boy and notices the mana actively leaking out of him. He looks at the knights, surprised they haven't sensed it yet. Then he catches Karen's expression, and Leo's never seen him look like that before. He doesn't look angry or annoyed. Leo remembers Mommy Sabina's warning to pay close attention to Karen's emotions, but right now, he can't read him at all. Karen's staring at these castle corridors, and they're triggering memories he'd rather forget. Right here, 50 years ago, flames consumed everything, his body covered in wounds, a sword impaled through his chest, death approaching. Karen closes his eyes hard. He needs to stop spiraling. There's still way too much left to do. They reach a massive door. A butler stops them in their tracks, saying, this is His Majesty's court, so they'll have to state their identities. Luke steps forward professionally. They are honorary guests of His Majesty, the grandsons of the Reston ducal house. After the formalities are done, the gate opens, and the butler announces their entrance. Entering the chamber, our boy is thinking to himself how he is curious to see what the heir of the tyrant king looks like. So Karen walks into this massive imperial hall, and there's some dude in a fancy white cloak with his back turned, addressing everyone. Karen's standing there confused as hell because he has no idea who this guy is. Then the man turns around and tells them that the emperor is basically dying in bed right now. He can't make it. He's super sorry though and wanted me to tell you that. So don't get it twisted. I'm just the messenger here. And bro, it's not just some random messenger. It's the crown prince himself, Yorn Carrion. The moment Karen realizes this, he immediately drops to his knees and gives his greeting to him. Meanwhile, Leo's just standing there all confused, but then he quickly copies his brother and says how it's an honor to meet him. The prince looks down at them with these intense orange eyes and goes, I heard about what you boys did at the Bellis Barony. Truly fitting for the grandsons of a hero. Karen's trying to stay humble, saying he just did what needed to be done. But internally, man's having a whole crisis. He's thinking, you've got to be kidding me. This dude looks exactly like the old emperor, the one who literally sold his soul. Like, same facial expressions, same creepy gaze, everything. Karen's desperately trying to convince himself they only look alike because they're grandfather and grandson, nothing more. He's actively pushing away any thoughts that Yorn might be just as twisted as the previous emperor. Then the crown prince switches topics and casually mentions, oh, I heard you became close with Rio, and says how it's great that the duke's grandsons are friends with him. And Karen? Man's internally grinding his teeth just hearing that name. But Leo, being the diplomatic one, quickly corrects him, saying how they are merely acquaintances. Karen's brain is screaming at his brother. Do you think that was a compliment, you idiot? Karen recovers fast, though, and plays it smooth. I thank your highness for overestimating us so much. I'll make sure to honor the Reston house's friendship and maintain good relations with the sixth prince. Hearing that the crown prince goes dead silent, clearly thinking hard about what Karen just said. And Karen, man's smiling, satisfied with his political chess move. Meanwhile, Leo's looking back and forth between them, completely lost because he doesn't understand politics at all. Eventually, the crown prince just nods and changes the subject and tells them how tonight's banquet is in their honor and tells them to enjoy it well. The brothers thank him in unison, and as they're leaving, Yorn recommends they rest until the party starts. Once they're gone, the prince is left alone to process everything, contributing to friendship with the royal family by being little friends with that brat Rio. He finally forms his opinion about Charon. He really is as amusing as the rumors say. The butler guides them to their rooms, mentioning their swords have been safely stored there. Once they're alone in front of the fireplace, Leo breaks the silence because he's still confused about something. Our grandfather overthrew the emperor who sold his soul, right? Charon tells him to continue. Leo's sweating bullets now, barely able to get the words out. But the current emperor is the son of that emperor, right? Charon immediately warns him to watch his mouth in the palace. His sword starts mocking him lightly, so Charon tells it to check if there's any listening magic in the room. The sword's already done it and found nothing, but it's annoyed about being used as a detection device. Now that Charon knows they can talk freely, he explains, normally it would be weird, yeah, but the new emperor actually participated in the revolution himself. That's why our grandfather's justifications are even stronger. Leo's mind is blown, and he asks why the imperial family doesn't like them when they literally helped them take power. Charon flips the question back. Why do you think that? Leo admits he doesn't know, but something felt off about how the crown prince acted toward them. Charon's actually impressed his brothers developing some political awareness, though he does admit, when you called us friends with the sixth prince earlier, I really wanted to smack you. But yeah, he noticed the hostility too. They're both sitting there trying to figure out what's going on when suddenly the door bursts open with the answer. Because your maternal family is the Marquis Diaz family. It's the sixth prince, Rio, barging in all excited and asking them how they are doing before complimenting them, saying how they look quite decent in formal clothes. Leo immediately goes on alert, while Charon's just thinking his night officially got worse. Before Leo can even stand to greet him properly, Rio stops him, saying that there is no need for things like these between friends. He grabs an apple from the fruit tray and starts tossing it up casually while explaining, since your mother's family is the Marquis Diaz's, it's obvious the imperial family wouldn't like the rest in house. He reminds them what he said before, like it or not, the rest in house will have to make a move soon. Charon can tell Rio's holding something back from them. Rio tells them to think of it as an imperial tradition and takes a bite of the apple. Isn't it obvious? The tradition of the son overthrowing the father and taking the throne. Charon watches the prince closely as he frowns. Rio gets comfortable and keeps dropping cryptic bombs. The timing isn't really perfect. Even the county of Kiel is benefiting from the Marquis of Diaz's influence, and then adds how all the capital's nobles are showing up tonight. And thanks to you too, the banquet will be even more vivid. Rio's clearly enjoying himself, while Charon's getting more suspicious. He stands up and asks him what he is getting at. Rio grins and asks, you want to cause some great chaos, don't you? Charon fires back, you're the one who wants to make things wild. The prince doesn't even deny it. I can set a scene for you to do whatever you want. Are you interested? Will you join me? Charon stays silent for a moment before finally asking Rio to explain his plan. Rio just laughs while Leo's sitting there feeling like they're walking straight into a trap. He's thinking they must be joking about causing chaos at an imperial banquet. Right? Cut to later that night, and the chandeliers are lighting up this massive hall where all these noble ladies are already gathered in their huge dresses, gossiping about royal drama. When Charon and Leo walk in, Leo's jaw literally drops, the man staring at all the beautiful women with his face turning red. Charon immediately tells him to get it together. Charon's reflecting on his own life, thinking it's been forever since he last attended a banquet. In his past life as a former slave, nobody wanted him there anyway. Before he could even start enjoying the party, he got this weird feeling that something felt off. Like, this place is supposed to have more magical security than Fort Knox, but he's detecting dark magic everywhere. Cut to Leo walking into the banquet hall, and his first reaction is, whoa, look at all these fancy people. Charon immediately shoots him that look like, bro, can you not embarrass us right now? But Leo's genuinely confused, like, what? I'm just existing. Then this dude with a fresh fade walks up, introducing himself as Karim from House Diaz. All polished and noble, probably expecting some proper etiquette, but nah. Our boy gives him the most pathetic handshake imaginable, like zero effort, doesn't even make eye contact, and this dude is absolutely furious because of this. In his mind, he is like, did this backwater nobody really just disrespect me? Leo quickly jumps in doing damage control, making up excuses that Charon's just nervous since it's his first big event. Kareem's clearly not convinced but decides to take the high road, thanking them for handling some bandit situation his dad mentioned. Then, out of absolutely nowhere, this voice booms across the hall. Wow, still out there risking your lives for His Majesty's people, such loyalty, unlike these capital nobles who just suck up for power and titles. The entire room goes silent. Everyone turns to see the sixth prince just casually throwing shade at maximum volume. Rio's standing there with his usual grin, fully aware he just started beef at a formal event. Kareem immediately bows, but internally he's screaming because this half-blood prince is wilding out, and he even told Rio how this is an assembly of nobles loyal to his majesty and that he should watch his words. Rio just shrugs like, whoops, my bad, but you know he meant every word. While this political roast session is happening, Charon's not even paying attention. He's laser-focused on tracking that dark magic signature, and his eyes lock onto this woman sitting at a table wearing a mask with braided hair, acting all innocent and mysterious. The second she realizes he's staring, she smiles with these crimson lips, and Charon knows he's found his target. The prince is still going, throwing his arms around Leo and Charon and telling them to follow him. Seeing this, Karim is like, yo, you know we were in the middle of a conversation. But Rio, this bastard, just goes, come on. Won't socializing be way more fun if we all hang out together? Karim tries to politely suggest maybe the prince should tone it down, but Rio fires back immediately. Oh, are you trying to lecture me about power? Even the street dogs know the Diaz family runs this place. Karim tries to backpedal, but it's too late. Rio has already bodied him in front of everyone. That's when Charon's officially had enough. He turns to Karim, saying how he's been running his mouth for God knows how long and that he should shut up before that bastard could do anything. Charon puts his hand on his sword and starts pulling it out. Leo and Karim are internally panicking because you absolutely do not draw your weapon at an imperial banquet unless you want to get executed. Charon looks the prince dead in the eyes and says, "Sixth prince, the act's over." Rio's confused because he was having such a good time stirring the pot, but then Charon leans in and whispers, "A rat with dark magic is hiding in this hall." Suddenly, everything clicks. The whole room's staring now, wondering what the actual hell is happening. Rio wants to call the Imperial Guard, but Charon flashes that psycho smile and reminds him, "Did you forget who I am?" The prince sighs and mutters the old family motto, "Doctors care for the sick, and Restons care for demons." He asks what the play is, and Charon tells him simply, "Make sure nobody escapes." After that, Charon starts walking forward, and this bastard for some reason then tries to stop our boy. He puts his hand on his sword like, "Back the hell up," but Charon just looks at him, doesn't even say a word, and Karim completely freezes up. Our boy then so very calmly told him to get the hell out of his way and just walked past him. After our boy was gone, this bastard was thinking about what just happened now, and how he literally couldn't draw his sword even if he tried. The pressure radiating off Charon is insane. His mana is flooding the entire room like a tidal wave, and nobles are scrambling to get out of his path. Meanwhile, Leo's trying to piece together what's happening when he sees Rio pull out this fancy staff with an orange orb on top. The prince grabs another matching orb and starts channeling energy between them, muttering that he never thought he'd actually have to use the artifacts his sister Ponia gave him. But here we are. A sphere of light forms and explodes outward, creating this massive barrier around the entire banquet hall. The nobles start absolutely losing it, and Leo asks why they need to buy time. Charon's already at the masked woman's table, sword pointed directly at her throat, and says how he didn't expect someone in the capital would welcome their family, considering we're usually a thorn in everyone's side. The woman slowly removes her mask as Charon continues, "But here you are, welcoming us. Though I can't exactly call you a person, can I?" The second she's fully exposed. Dark energy erupts from her eye, way more powerful than Charon expected. The energy slams into Rio's barrier and shatters it completely. She stands up, looking Charon up and down with this creepy-ass smile, saying how our boy is quite a handsome one, saying how she likes him. "Lady, he's only 13. Restrain yourself." But nah, our boy is not interested, and he conveys his feeling by straight-up beheading her. As the head rolls up on the floor, everyone panics, screaming about how our boy just killed someone. But then the demon lady opens her eyes, saying how our boy certainly has his charms. Seeing this, the crowd started screaming and running, and in a moment the entire hall erupts into chaos. That severed head chilling on the floor, yeah, it doesn't stay ahead for long. It starts distorting and transforms into a bouquet of black roses that explodes into petals, scattering everywhere. Charon's eyes narrow, tracking every single petal, trying to figure out what kind of nightmare this is. Before he can even react, the petals swirl behind him and reform into the woman's full body, except now she's showing her true demonic form. She's casually checking herself out, going, the regeneration wasn't perfect. This sword actually devoured my mana. I didn't know the Reston family had something like this." Charon grips his sword tighter, absolutely pissed that she just exposed his weapon's secrets to everyone in the room. He tells her how lucky she is, adding that if he were just a little bit stronger, she wouldn't even be standing there running her mouth. The demon lady licks her fingers all creepy-like and fires back, saying how, if she had things her way, she would have already devoured our boy whole. Then she goes, "Well, why not?" and straight up launches herself at him. Charon releases his aura, instantly calculating that he cannot take a direct hit from this thing. He dodges at the last second, but he's a split second too slow, and the demoness nicks him on the neck. Then, licking her finger, She goes, "Yep, just as I thought, you taste sweet." Leo sees his brother get hit and immediately reaches for his sword, ready to jump into the fight, but Rio grabs his arm, stopping him, and tells him how he can't interfere, as this is Charon's fight. Leo's like, "What?" But the prince explains that Leo knows Charon better than anyone. If he needed help, he'd actually ask for it. Leo reluctantly backs off, but he's shaking with frustration because he wants to be strong enough to actually help instead of just watching from the sidelines. Rio knows the harsh truth. If Leo charged in right now against a creature like this, he'd just get himself killed for nothing. Meanwhile, Charon's neck is still bleeding despite him trying to control it with mana, and even his sword is telling him to give up. The weapon's literally saying he's way too weak to fight her at his current strength. But our boy is stubborn as hell and tells the sword he can't back down. That would go against everything he stands for. If preserving his conviction means dying, then so be it. Plus, there's no way in hell he's letting a demon walk out of here alive. He pulls up his cloak collar to hide the wound and unleashes the maximum amount of mana he can control. Seeing this, the demon lady gets even more interested in our boy and says she likes the look in his eyes. Lady, he's literally 13 years old, find someone your own age. Damn. Then she charges at him again, this time faster than before, but she targets the poor bystanders instead. She casually drops her introduction mid-attack, telling Charon her name is Shunya and she'll make sure he never forgets it for as long as he lives. Seeing innocent people getting hurt, Charon absolutely loses it and charges at Shunya with everything he's got. Meanwhile, Rio whips out a magic spell and yells to our boy, telling him to focus on the fight and not worry about the civilians. He's got them covered. Shunya taunts him. "You aren't stupid enough to relax just because you dodged once, are you? My petals aren't just for decoration." After all, at this point, Charon's sword is literally screaming at him, asking why he isn't dodging and reminding him that if he doesn't move, he's basically dead. Then it realizes what our boy is planning and warns him not to do it, saying he knows damn well how dangerous this is. But this reckless idiot isn't listening and uses the fifth form of the harangue sword technique, High Tide. Suddenly, actual ocean waves appear around Charon. The mana pouring off him transforms into this intense, chaotic liquid energy like the depths of a raging sea. Shunya watches curiously as Charon forces open his mana channels to a point where he starts coughing blood, his body literally on the verge of total collapse. He wipes his mouth and doesn't give a single damn about the consequences. All he cares about is killing the demon in front of him. Shunya didn't expect him to go this far, and it makes her smile with pure delight. She's loving this. Meanwhile, Rio's watching all this unfold, thinking to himself how the illusion magic ended a while ago. So where the hell are the Imperial Guards? Cut to outside the castle, and things are way more chaotic than Rio expected. Knight Commander Luke is running around yelling at other knights, trying to figure out what's going on. When he finds some guards, they tell him magic's been detected inside the banquet hall. Luke asks what the situation is with the mage tower. The soldiers reply they've already contacted them, mages arrived through a portal and everything. Luke curses, thinking to himself how it just had to happen on the night of the banquet. Now that the initial panic is done, he sprints toward the banquet hall but finds a massive crowd of mages and knights all struggling to get inside. He asks what's happening and why they're all still standing outside. One soldier walks over, explaining how the mages can't break the barrier. Luke's brain short-circuits. A barrier that even mage tower mages can't break? What does that even mean? Seeing the captain's confusion, the knight drops the bomb. The mages are saying it's the work of dark magic. Luke's eyes go wide with absolute shock. Dark magic. In the Imperial Palace. During a formal banquet, he can't even begin to process what kind of nightmare is happening inside that hall right now. So inside the hall, this demon lady is circling our boy, explaining how she can't actually kill him because her king didn't give permission for that. But he didn't say anything about not having fun, so she's going to enjoy herself today. She lunges straight at Charon, and our boy does this clean slice with his sword. But this demon bitch just changes trajectory midair. Then she goes full phase 2 transformation, scales popping out, horns growing, the whole RPG boss evolution package. Charon's standing there like he's trying to figure out his next move, when suddenly, he remembers the advice Sabina gave him earlier. She told him the power of the sword isn't something you control, it's something you have to accept. So as this demon charges at him again, our boy just stands there seeing this. Leo is absolutely losing his mind in the background, screaming at him to dodge, but Charon's locked in. He grabs his sword with both hands and enters full concentration mode in the next second. Blood is everywhere. The demon lady has this shocked expression on her face, muttering how she expected all kinds of attacks from someone in the Reston family, but never in her wildest dreams did she think this crazy bastard would damage himself just to create an opening. While she's having this realization, our boy brings down his sword with one hand and slices her clean in half. Now you think that's game over, right? Wrong. This demon's still talking, calling our boy's decision bold and interesting, and then she notices something about his sword. Her eyes go wide, and she mutters, The sword you're holding, that's a guillotine, isn't it? Charon's genuinely surprised because this weapon is supposed to be the most guarded secret of his family. How does some random demon know its name? That's when Guillotine itself starts talking, explaining to Charon that it can absorb black magic and demonic power. The more demon blood it drinks, the stronger both it and Charon become. Meanwhile, outside the hall, the mages are doing everything they can to dispel the barrier, and finally they manage to break it. Back inside, Guillotine drops another bomb on Charon, telling him the body in front of him isn't even the demon's real body. Charon smiles, saying, yeah, he figured that much out already. But what doesn't make sense is how they got into the Imperial Palace in the first place. Even with an inside collaborator, you can't just rampage through the most secure location in the kingdom. Just then, Luke enters the hall and orders everyone to fall back. As the demon's body starts disappearing, Charon looks at her, saying how today she has managed to live, but one day he'll rip her to shreds. The demon lady just smiles, saying she'll be waiting for him beyond the abyssal sea, and casually adds that her king is looking forward to meeting him too. After making sure everyone evacuated safely, Luke turns to look at our boy and the fading demon, absolutely confused about how any of this makes sense. How the hell was there a demon inside the Imperial Palace? Then he overhears a group of noble ladies gossiping about how they would have died if the sixth prince hadn't protected them with his magic. Another lady chimes in, saying she never expected Rio to actually be useful for once. The knights nearby are looking at each other confused as hell, asking, since when did the sixth prince know magic? The scene shifts back to Charon, who finally collapses from blood loss. Before he faceplants, Leo rushes over and catches him, immediately calling for mages to treat him as soon as possible. And even at a time like this, our boy's worried about his reputation, telling Leo not to make a fuss about it because it's not that serious. Rio walks up and is like, what the hell are you saying? How is this not a big deal? Then he throws a recovery potion at Charon, telling him to drink it. Our boy catches the bottle but gives Rio this suspicious look, like, are you using this situation to make me drink something weird again? Rio's deadpan response, that's the dew of the world tree, a potent elixir, adding that you can't even buy this with money. Charon realizes Rio's not joking and asks why he's giving him something so precious. Rio gives him this big smile and says since he's decided to invest in Charon, he has to go all out. For context, the dew of the world tree is legendary. It grants immense magical power to whoever drinks it. After chugging it down, Charon tells Rio he won't forget this favor. Rio's like, you better not. Then Charon turns to Leo, saying he'll handle things here and telling Leo to go contact their grandfather. Leo's like, what the hell are you talking about? You mean to rest right now, but before they can argue further, Rio just pulls out his magic staff and whacks Charon straight in the face, knocking him unconscious, and Leo cannot believe what just happened. He's looking at Charon on the ground, then at Rio, thinking, did this man really just bonk my brother in the face like that? But instead of explaining himself, Rio just says now that use of black magic has been confirmed. It's only a matter of time before Halo himself gets involved, so Leo needs to take care of Charon for now. That's when Luke walks over and announces he's arresting Rio, saying he's a suspect with connections to the attackers. Leo immediately jumps in, defending him, calling it ridiculous. But Rio just waves his hand dismissively. He tells Luke there's no need for handcuffs, he'll walk on his own 2 feet. But before leaving the hall, being all casual like he usually is, he tells Luke he's innocent. Luke responded by saying how it's hard to believe the word of a guy who secretly broke Imperial law and learned magic. So before leaving, Rio turns to Leo one last time and says, my bet is over. Now it's time for the rest and Duchy to get involved. He tells Leo to inform the Grand Duke that Rio helped them fight off the demons. Leo's just standing there completely lost because he has no idea what the hell is going on anymore. We cut to the Crown Prince's office, where Halo is looking out the window, telling Orn there's no time for formalities. According to the promise he made to the Imperial family, he'll make sure to kill all the demons, but first, he wants to meet with his grandson. Then he turns to Orn and adds, surely you won't mind that. And oh boy, he wasn't asking. Man is absolutely pissed. The scene shifts to the top of the castle wall, where this knight is on watch duty, just vibing, when his buddy walks over, asking what he's thinking so hard about. Are you nervous or something? The knight laughs it off like, as if, but Kirua takes a bite of his apple and goes, I mean, it wouldn't be weird if you were. Halo's stronger than you, and you've literally never beaten him once. Kane looks annoyed as hell by this response, saying how he's wrong, he was just holding back for Halo's sake this whole time. Kirua's just like, yeah, sure, buddy. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Then the conversation takes a serious turn. Kane asks Kirua why he stuck around for so long. He could have lived a good life if he bailed earlier. But now he's going to get hunted for the rest of his days because of that black magic gift he received from the Emperor. Kane turns to him and tells him to run, saying there's still time to leave before the army attacks the castle. But Kirua's like, Captain, being hunted for the rest of my life sounds like a pain. I'd rather just die here with you. Then he flips it back on Cain, asking why he made the choice to stick with that mad emperor for all this time. Cain tells him it has nothing to do with the emperor, it's about him and the life of a slave he's lived up to this point. He wants it to end today. Karua's response, "Do you have any idea how stupid that sounds?" But then he adds, "Since you aren't leaving, we aren't leaving either." Cut back to the present, and these two Imperial Knights are straight up picking a fight with Azure Knight, being all disrespectful about it. After they leave, one guy asks the Lady Knight when they're going back to the Azure Fortress, because if he stays here one more day, he's definitely going to kill those Imperial bastards. The Lady Knight's like, "Well, that's not happening anytime soon. We're stuck here as long as the Grand Duke is here, which means a long time since the investigation is still ongoing." Meanwhile, our boy Charon is still knocked out, with Amy and Leo by his side. Leo suddenly thanks Amy out of nowhere, and she's all confused. Like, "What the hell are you thanking me for?" Leo explains how she helped him and Charon, and considering the beef between Imperial Knights and Azure Knights, it couldn't have been easy. Amy's about to do her usual routine, saying how, if Cain were alive, he would have done the same when our boy wakes up and immediately tells her to shut up, asking if she really doesn't know anything else to say. And folks, the first thing this man does after regaining consciousness is curse that damn bastard Rio for hitting him in the face. Leo fills him in, saying Rio's been arrested by the Imperial Guards, but Halo's on his way to get him back. Our boy's confused and asks, "Arrested? Why?" Then he asks if grandfather is here too. Leo tells him Halo came to the palace leading the Azure Knights right after the attack. Charon's wondering if he used the teleportation circle to get here that fast, then asks if another attack happened while he was unconscious. Leo's like, "Did the prince hit you too hard? How can you think anyone would be stupid enough to attack while Halo's here?" Then he takes a good look at Amy and goes, "So what the hell is this woman doing here?" Leo tells him she came over to help, but nah, our boy's not buying it. He asks Amy if she only helped so she could beat him up after he got better. Amy's offended as hell, saying, "What do you think of me? I was just trying to repay the favor you did me, you jerk." Just then Halo enters, asking if Charon's doing alright. He pulls out a chair, takes a seat, and gestures for Amy to come over. While settling in, he tells our boy the ocean within him has increased to 5. Charon explains that to stop the demon, he had no choice but to forcibly open his pathways, which is why he had to use the 5th form of Maelstrom. As Amy takes a seat, Halo continues, saying what our boy did was straight up stupid, then asks if he's even mastered the 4th form yet. Charon admits he hasn't mastered it yet, but he's seen others do it millions of times, so he learned by watching. Halo pauses for a second, then orders him after he gets back to Azure Castle. All external activities are forbidden. He gets up, saying, from now on, Charon will focus solely on training for the next 4 years. Our boy nods, saying he'll follow orders. Before leaving, Halo asks if Charon learned anything from the incident. Our boy gets all serious, saying he's realized he's still lacking. Halo tells him not to look so depressed. A hasty desire for power always brings disaster. Charon explains he doesn't want power because he's greedy, but because of what the demon told him before disappearing. Halo asks what she said, and Charon replies that she told him she'd be waiting for him beyond the North Sea. Then he turns to Halo and asks what exactly is beyond the North Sea. Halo hits him with the classic "you're not worthy of knowing that yet." Halo then asks if there's anything else he wants to say. Charon mentions how Rio used the dew of the world tree for his treatment, so they can't just ignore his favor. But before he can finish, Halo cuts him off, explaining that Rio broke Imperial law by learning magic. It's forbidden for those of Imperial blood. Although they didn't find any evidence of him being involved in the attack, they can't overlook what he did. As a result, from now on, Rio will be placed under surveillance by the Azure Knights. As Halo's leaving, Charon says he has one last thing to ask. He doesn't have a place to train. Halo tells him he's already talked with the Imperial Guards and taken care of that. Before walking out, Halo tells Xeras he's leaving his grandson in his care. Xeras bows, saying he'll do his best. After Halo's gone, Leo turns to Charon, saying Rio is just trying to help them, they have to do something. Charon tells him not to worry about it because their grandfather is protecting him. Leo scratches his head, confused, asking what he means. Charon tells him to think about it. Halo personally assigned the Azure Knights to Rio. He points out its protection disguised as surveillance, which is exactly what Rio wanted. Now the Reston family has become his backer. Then he turns to Amy, saying he needs her to guide him later because he's always been curious about the Imperial Guard's headquarters. Amy asks what he's planning, and Charon's like, "Don't be like that. I'm just curious." Then he turns to Xeras, saying from now on he'll be in his care. The scene shifts to the Azure Fortress, where the 3 brothers are having a meeting. Tails asks Pale how he must be proud of his son since the whole capital is singing his praises. But Pale's not having it. He's like, "What the hell are you talking about? Charon almost died." He goes on saying reputation, rumors, and fame don't matter. This is the 2nd time he's come close to losing his son. Just then, that bastard Raphael chimes in, and as always, This dude doesn't have a single nice thing to say. He starts mocking Tails, going on about how that intelligence network he was so proud of turned out to be completely useless in the end. Tails is cursing this idiot in his mind, thinking how instead of wasting time trash-talking him, Raphael should be concerned about how Charon's already made a name for himself at such a young age. Pales had enough of these bastards at this point. He stands up and says he's leaving now, adding that someone has to take responsibility for what happened. Raphael gets up too, saying he'll be taking his leave as well. Once they're both gone, this snake starts thinking how Charon is no longer a minor nuisance anymore. If things continue like this, he'll become the biggest obstacle in the line of succession. Then he takes a seat, pulls out his crystal ball, and contacts some mysterious dude. The person on the other side is clearly annoyed, telling him this better be worth his time. But this bastard just says he wants to meet him in person and addresses him as Elder. The Elder replies that the timing's not good, but Tails insists it's for the good of the family. The Elder agrees, saying he'll come to him soon and to wait. Now looking out the window, Tails is thinking how the time has come for Charon to choose his side. He can either help him or become his enemy. Meanwhile, at the Imperial Guard's headquarters, our boy is busy with his training. He opens his eyes and starts celebrating, hyped as hell, saying the process was a success even though the mana was different in nature. He managed to successfully assimilate it. He reaches for his shirt, thinking how this is why the dew of the world tree was so expensive. Well, it makes sense since it's something only elves can get. As he's exiting the training hall, he's already scheming, thinking about how he should make Rio get more of that stuff for him. As he opens the door, Leo walks in telling Charon to like the video and help Mamoru make juicy content and activate that cheeky little bell. And I'm out.